Today's movie is The Spiral Staircase, the 1946 Gothic horror film noir thriller directed by Robert Siodmak from a script by Mel Dinelli. The film stars Dorothy McGuire, George Brent, Ethel Barrymore and Kent Smith. In 1906, in a small New England town, a serial killer is murdering disabled women. A young mute woman working as a paid companion in a Gothic mansion is seen by those around her as the next potential victim of the killer. Trapped in the mansion and unable to speak, Helen realizes that the killer is inside the house. The Spiral Staircase is a suspenseful and creepy Gothic thriller. It's one of those interesting films that was marketed in its day as a mystery romance, but which looks today to modern viewers like a horror film and perhaps even a precursor to the modern slasher film. It is distinguished by some really exceptional photography by cinematographer Nicholas Musaraka, who had also worked on Cat People and Bedlam, but he really excels himself in this film. The greatest visual or stylistic gimmick in this film is the fact that it shows the murders reflected in the killer's pupil, an effect which is as shocking as it is visually arresting. My jaw dropped when I saw these sequences. This feature of the film makes it seem way ahead of its time. It did make me think of the notorious 1960 film Peeping Tom, in that they both show the reflections of the murder as the victims die. In some ways, this film feels like a little bit of a B picture, perhaps because it has a certain staginess to it, but also oddly because some of the performances are at times a bit stilted, and I'm really not sure why this is, because the cast is first rate. You've got Elsa Lanchester in there and so many other top performers. I'm not really sure if it's the dialogue or the direction that causes this occasional stiltedness. I have this theory that when you see good actors giving a bad performance, it must be the director. But this seems hard to understand because Robert Siodmak also directed the brilliant The File on Thelma Jordan, which I also reviewed, and also the classic film The Killers. So it's just odd, and I'm really not sure why. It almost seems at times like some of the actors are doing rehearsal takes. It doesn't seem like it's a, up to standard take on a Hollywood film. However, for the most part, the performances are pretty solid, and it's Dorothy McGuire who really runs away with the film. She gives a really sensitive and mesmerizing performance as the young woman suffering from hysterical muteness caused by severe childhood trauma, and she has a lot more trauma coming her way. Part of the film's profound sense of creepiness comes from placing the Dorothy McGuire mute character at the center of this web of really creepy and untrustworthy men. Another big part of the atmosphere of the film comes from the sense of claustrophobia it creates, and I think this is because most of the action is confined inside the house, and what a house it is. The other part of the claustrophobia the film creates is, I think, due to Helen's muteness and the feeling that as the tension rises unbearably in the film, she is unable to communicate. The house set is truly spectacular and very lavish. As far as Gothic houses go, this one has everything going for it, including a domineering bedridden matriarch with some very dark secrets. But the set design is really superb, and it's made all the better by some very moody lighting and the beautiful cinematography. As murder mysteries go, it really does keep you guessing, and it builds to a very suspenseful climax. And it does have novelty very much in its favour in the shape of the mute protagonist, but also those remarkable visual sequences of the killings. I read that the eye used in those very striking murder sequences is actually the director Robert Siodmak's eye. This is a touch that really reminded me of Dario Argento insisting on using his own hands in the shots of his victims being strangled in his horror films. If you enjoy Gothic cinema with a touch of film noir, And why wouldn't you? That's a sensational combination. There is just so much to enjoy in the spiral staircase. It's not perfect, but it is entertaining and quite unusual, and worth seeing for those striking visual sequences and also for Dorothy McGuire's really strong performance. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye.